I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be wild. And I'm going to say, I've already said it in a general area, but let's see if I can get a little more refined with it. And I'm going to talk about the churches that I know for a fact because I've seen it with my own eyes that are involved in that pedophile ring from Effingham County. This is just Effingham County. Remember, I moved around. So I know the churches that are in the other counties that I lived in too. But let's start with Effingham. And all these ones, what a coincidence. This is just what I went through from Springfield, where we're finding even more. All right. The churches that I witnessed the occult pedophile crimes. Members. I witnessed the members of those churches. If I was to list out these churches from Springfield, Effingham County, Georgia, let's say if I was to line up all the Baptist churches. I'm going to line up all the Baptist churches that I can think of that are in that area, in that county, in that community. If I was to start with the biggest one, the biggest Baptist church in Springfield, Georgia, I would say on my list of size that there would be one that was the biggest one. That would be the First Baptist Church on that list that was involved. And that one was involved heavily. Yeah, I don't know how many leaders. I think somebody got busted for a child porn ring. They were associated while I was in that church. Leaders, employees of that church got in trouble for abusive behavior towards children in a sexual way. So not a surprise. Not a surprise that out of the big churches in Springfield, Georgia, the first big Baptist church on a list of big Baptist churches was one heavily Masonic. Heavily. Had the most. The second, let's say if I was to take all these churches and put them on a monopoly board, all right? I'm going to take all these pedophile churches that I know of, put them on a monopoly board. The one that's in Effingham County, Georgia, that would probably be the second one that I noticed a lot of this criminal behavior in, would land on a corner piece. It would be on the corner of the monopoly board, of a monopoly board of pedophile ring churches. This one I would call the cornerstone of my monopoly board of pedophile ring Baptist churches of the Effingham County, Springfield, Georgia area. And the third. Now this one was the most mysterious, but this one had the most vile and wicked people in this church. This church had two names. It used to be known as another name. I think, what was that thing that people call God sometimes? Emmanuel or something like that? I'm not sure. But all I know is that this church had so many pedophiles in this church. So many pedophiles. This was an odd church indeed. It was abundant. Out of their lives, this church would have an abundant life of pedophiles running through their walls. And those are just the three that I could think of. And what do you know? What a coincidence and what a surprise. You know what else I noticed about the members of those churches? They would bounce around, but they would only bounce around from those. They would either get mad at one church and leave and go to one of the other pedophile ring churches, or they'd get mad at that pedophile ring church and then go to another pedophile ring church. And they would bounce around in a little ring, a trio, a little triad of their incest pedophile ring churches that they all had to go to. Yeah. Ain't Joe Biden a Freemason too? Yeah, I said it. Sue me.